Hello, friends. Good morning. How are you? Esther doing here. We've come in a bit late. Uh, so I'd like to add in a friend. And then we'll start. I guess you can see my face. I'm a bit still exhausted. I've added my friend. Oh, there she is. I don't know what is wrong.
Ah,
So good morning, Julie. Thanks for joining us. With me, I have June Bugenyi. She's been here many times, and she used this opportunity to greet you all and introduce herself to those who don't know her.
good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night from wherever you are actually watching us from. You know, it's an
Yeah.
honor to come back on this platform, and I hope we will, share our experiences from you and from us. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So we are still continuing with the topic, understanding life. It's been a long one. And guess what? Today we are revisiting a statement, a very important statement made by Mother Teresa. She said, life is costly, care for it. So we are looking at life, understanding life, that life is costly.
Mm.
So I have a guest with me, June, and it shall be like question and answer format.
Mm.
And we'll start because we're already late. So thank you everyone for joining us. So feel free to share on your timeline and let's learn together. Feel free to write your comments and your contributions, and we shall try to read them all so that we all learn together. Okay. So life is costly. Care for it. When I first heard that statement, June, I was the first thing that came to me is people.
Mm.
Do we respect people? Do we regard people as valuable, as
Mm.
costly? You
Mm.
know, you're given the opportunity to look after someone, or when someone is under your supervision and management, you really take that job with, a deep sense of understanding that, you can either break or mar someone. So
Mm.
you're going to help our viewers understand this statement. What does it mean to say that life is costly?
Ah, yeah.
And
Yeah,
for it.
when I also read about it, it really made me to think about how do people relate to each other? Because
Mm,
how you relate to somebody is actually equivalent to how you value that person. Because when we
mm,
are talking about life is costly, we are actually
mm,
referring to the value of this person, So how you relate to somebody, whether it is in a family like siblings, whether it is in a family like a spouse, whether it's employer-employee relationship,
mm,
neighbors, colleagues, student, teacher, the way you relate to that person actually speaks a lot of how you value that person. Do you consider this person as, somebody of value or what? And looking at the statement, life is costly, care for it. It made
mm,
me to realize that life as of a human being is actually a sum of an investment.
yes. Mm,
A lot has gone into that person. What you
mm,
see, a person, somebody walks into your office carrying their folder to come and apply for a job. You need to know that there is a lot of investment that has been put into that person, and that gives
yeah.
that person the courage, the audacity, even to come, because they know they are worth that position. When you
Mm,
see a child going to school, and carrying their books, they entering the class. As a teacher, you look at those people and you see they have got value. They know that they can continue to invest in themselves. But by the time we are all grown ups, even as we are continuing to grow, a lot of investment in terms of knowledge, time, skills, experience, ideas, character, values. So that sums somebody up. And so when we are saying life is costly, tend to look at somebody in that kind of area, in that kind of aspect, to know that there is a lot that has gone into that person. It's an outcome of somebody who has paid a price for that person. And we can give an example. When every human being was born by a woman, at least I would
Exactly.
say 99.999%, born by a woman. With technology, there are other things which can come up, but naturally you are born of a woman. That in itself, the cost of that person, 9 months held by somebody, nurtured, looked well after, until you bring forth a human being, that in itself is a cost. And if you are to look at that person in that aspect, that somebody paid a price to make sure that this child comes forth, how many go and do abortion, or some get miscarriages, and some there will be sicknesses, there will be illnesses, but the woman makes sure that against all odds, this child has to come forth healthy. That
Yeah.
is one of the costs.
Mm.
Mothers having sleepless nights.
Mm.
If you go to a woman who has just given birth, they will tell you, we don't know what happens with these children because their sleeping pattern is upside down. During the day, they're fast asleep, when we are also wide awake. When we want to rest, the kids now, they have gotten up. So sleepless nights, and you
Mm.
don't know how long that can go. Those are little kind of things. Parents and guardians, educating their children, making that they have a roof over their head. They take them to school, they provide, put food on their table. It is, it is a lot that goes on into a human being. So by the
Mm.
time you see that person, there is a lot of work done by themselves, done by somebody else. So that's why we are saying life is costly. Care for it. Don't just treat anyone anyhow, because somebody, including themselves, they have paid a price to be where they are at that moment.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you see someone going to work, waking up
Mm.
early, work, this happens especially in Africa, you know.
Mm.
They work for you, for an employee, for a whole month. At the end of the month, they say, "Oh, we can't pay you.
Ah,
You just continue to work." You know, someone has been coming. How do you comment on that? How
yeah.
costly is time? And what advice can you give to all employers to how they can treat people?
Uh, it's very, very disheartening when someone, has come there. When I look at employers and employee relationship, people tend to look at an employee as a less one, and the
Mm,
employer is the one who has all the power. But if you don't have employees, then even your objectives, the company vision, will not be realized. So don't
exactly.
see yourself as an employer as like you are doing these your employees a favor. They are actually who are the ones who are doing you a great, great favor. Because the day they will just say, we are not coming to work one day, that is the day you will know their value. And
Yes.
it is so disheartening when somebody commits, and like back at home, for somebody to be at work. In my country, office in government starts at 7:30. So
Wow.
7:30, and the other companies 8. To be there, it has costed somebody who you don't know how far they're coming from. You don't
Mm,
know the means of transport they are using. You don't
mm,
know how many people are under his or her care that makes him or her to come there. And then at the end of the month, you are telling them, oh, you know, we didn't make enough profit and what and what. You start giving them excuses. What you're
Yeah, what
actually saying,
they
yeah,
have families.
yeah.
Mm.
What you are actually saying that they don't have value. Why don't you take that which it belongs to you? Because at them, if you look carefully, those directors and CEOs and money will not have not paid themselves. They will
Oh,
have
yeah.
made sure their children are safe, their wives, their husbands are okay, go to the
Mm.
best schools. If medical, they will go abroad and what. But this other one who is working for you, whose salary probably is not even a tenth of yours, you say that you don't have, you are not caring for that person, you don't value that person, and that is not right. So I would
Mm.
advise, if you are an employer, you are a manager, even if you're not an employer, just to be a manager. Look at somebody and know that, in fact, this is the person who is helping me to achieve my goals. This is the
Mm.
person who is helping me to achieve the vision of this company, and I
Yeah.
should treat him as equal. He's offering his knowledge, his time, his skill, his experience, and you need
Mm.
to pay for that and honor that and respect that. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, you made me remember in Africa the way people treat, you know, these are they house girls or house helps?
Mm. Yeah.
Oh my God. There are some places that are bad. The person, in fact, the food they eat, is supposed to be the leftovers in the family. I've remembered, I've been watching some experiences on YouTube about people who go to Oman. You know, from Africa, people go there for jobs, they are promised good jobs, blah, blah, blah. When they go to Oman, I think some people succeed, but others land in very terrible homes
Mm.
where they work as, you know, housekeepers or house
Mm.
helps.
Mm.
Do you know what? They have to eat the food, okay, that the other family, the leftovers.
Mm.
I've had incidences, okay, people are testifying and talking about their experiences, where the children came and spat in the food, and that's the only food she had to eat. Then they use them, any usage,
Mm.
sexual, you know, that kind of treatment. I don't know whether maybe you haven't read those, but comment on that because that shows me that not everyone knows how life is costly. Not everyone knows how there's a
Mm.
value to it.
Mm. You know, that issue of house helps, you know, and it's now becoming a really, really big issue. I see,
Mm.
you know, clips circulating about that. What people don't know,
Mm.
their
Mm.
lives are actually in the hand of that house help. Like
Fine.
back
Yes,
home, you have a house help. Mommy and daddy, they go to work in the morning. Who do you leave
yes.
your children with? You leave your children with that house help.
Mm.
Who cooks the food your children eat? It is that house help. Who
Yes.
looks after your property when you are there going to work into that prestigious job you have? It is
Mm.
your house help. If they
Yes.
are wicked, they can finish all of you by just putting
Yes.
something funny in your food, in your drink, and because you don't allow even them to eat, they can. It's only because, you know, God is so good, because even majority of these house helps, they are people with good heart. They are people of
Yeah.
good heart, but it's also because they do not want to retaliate. What people don't know is that your life, when you have a house help and you go and you leave that house help with your children, you are actually saying that she is the one who is in charge of running your home. And for that only, you should value that person.
Yes.
You should
Yeah.
take good care of that person. I
Mm.
saw a couple here in the UK, um, in December. I went
Mm.
to a book launch of a girl who was
Mm.
a house help. But that family treated that girl with honor, to the extent that, you know, they saw her go to school, they saw something which she didn't have. She has written a book. If people are able, go and look for a book called Gemma. It's a true life story of somebody who was a house help, who has run away from home. the family which went, they treated her very well. They saw the value, the gem in that beautiful girl. She's a married woman with 2 children, educated now. How many families are able to look after that? And she has put that story to as a way and campaigning for people who are house helps to be treated with respect, because it is possible. You know, people have looked after her very well, and she knows that it is possible. You know, if you read that story, it is a moving one. But you know,
Wow.
employers look at house helps as people of very, very importance in your lives, because they carry your entire house in their hands.
Okay, and also, okay, life is costly.
Mm.
Anyway, you've really expanded on that. Yeah. Okay, so which other examples can you give to show us that life is costly? Yeah.
Yeah, for us who are, you know, believers of, you know, Christians who
Oh,
are believers of Jesus Christ, you
mm,
know, we believe and we know that what makes us of value is because Jesus Christ paid the price for our sins, therefore, and he paid it with his own life. He
mm,
died on the cross so that I will have the position to be reinstated, to be in good relationship with God, you know, our creator. So if Jesus would give his life for someone like me, for someone like, you know, whoever out there is a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, then that tells me that my life is of value. The value of my life is the cost of the life of Jesus Christ. So if I look at myself as a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, the value, the cost of my life was paid by the life of Jesus Christ. That is how precious, that is how precious a child of God is before God. So if God could value me to that level, why would somebody else treat me like, you know, like I don't exist? Why would somebody else treat me like trash? Why would somebody else look down on me? I might have not lived my full potentials yet, but at least just look at me as somebody. If God could send his son to die for this one, then this person is of value, you know. So I look at it in that angle as a believer and follower of Jesus Christ, that I am so precious in the sight of God, to the extent that he paid the price of the life of Jesus Christ to redeem me. So Jesus, if God could care for me by, you know, giving out the life of his son, then I am of very, very good value. My life was bought at a very high cost.
exactly.
I look at it, and therefore no one has the right to abuse anyone, because God did not abuse us. God does not abuse us, and therefore whether it is no one has the right to abuse anyone physically. Beating someone, that is not right. Abusing them financially, like we have given, you know, an example of people working for you and you're not paying them, that's not right. Abusing them sexually, that's not right. Abusing them emotionally, it's not right. No form of abuse is right, because there is value in the life of that person, and you need to look at that person as somebody of value, because once you do that, that's when you will start caring for that person.
You've made a very important statement that your life is the life of Jesus Christ.
Mm.
So it made me think about like people who commit suicide. I
Mm.
think that is also another way of looking at once
Mm.
some their life are not seeing any value,
Mm.
and therefore, you know, since I don't have value, there's no cost, I can as well take it.
Yeah.
What's your take on that, you know?
Yeah. You know, it is really a pity at times when somebody reaches to that point. In fact, probably even committing suicide could be the last stage. You know, somebody starting to abuse their own body with drugs, alcohol. You know, a person who takes drugs, they sleep rough. You know, we are not saying everyone who is sleeping rough, they have abused themselves, because we don't know the story behind some people, you know, sleeping in the streets. But when somebody reaches a point of taking drugs, they have already declared to themselves and to everyone around them that me, I am not of any value. Because that drug does not make you any good. That drug makes them even more miserable, and it sinks them, sinks them, sinks them. And the sad thing is, once they've gone into there, they don't know how to come out of it. And you see somebody goes, they reach a point and then they will commit suicide. But there are others, something happens to them and they put all their focus and mind on that particular aspect. Maybe it's a tragedy, maybe it's a betrayal, it's a, you know, something which has happened serious in their lives. And they, when they focus on that thing, they start hearing words in themselves. It's because you are not of any value. It's because you don't matter. It is, and once some such kind of bells continue to ring in your in somebody's head, then they reach a point and they think, so what's the point of me continuing to live? And before you realize, somebody has hanged themselves. You know, when at that particular time, they have become the focus, and the focus was not on their lives, but the focus was on that challenge or issue that has come. And they think that they cannot bear it anymore. So they just see there is no point of me living, terminate the life. I don't, you know, I feel sorry for people who, you know, who reach that level, because some people just say, oh, it is easy, you shouldn't be, but it starts with where you start seeing yourself. I do not have any value. If I was of value, somebody wouldn't have done this to me. If I was value, this wouldn't have happened to me. I don't know how to cope it. And it's because you know you want to fix the issue by yourself. And because you don't have all the answers, you make a conclusion that I am not of any value, so I can as well go. But do we remember what a negative cost we are putting in those we are leaving behind? Because do we know how far that can continue? Because you hear somebody has committed suicide, their spouse, they come and they realize, oh, it is that upset which I did, they also now commit suicide, you know, and we don't know how far that can go. But it is really, really painful when somebody reaches that level where they don't see value in themselves. You know, it reminds me of the time I went to Ukraine, and I went to a rehabilitation center. And this center manager was saying, when we work with people who have been affected by drugs and alcohol, you know, people who, you know, their lives have been destroyed because of drug and, you know, substance abuse. So they say, I was looking at their, you know, like their outline. They said the first thing we teach these people is to remind them how to make a bed. And I thought that was very insignificant. And they said, no, we have to teach them that, you know, to make a bed, because this is a place where your body rests. This is a place where you have worked, you come to rejuvenate. A bed is a very beautiful place. For somebody who sleeps rough, they might have not had a bed for a long time. But they said it is the first step of in starting to instill a sense of value into that person. That sleeping rough under the sewage, I don't know, and on the corridors, on the shops, doors and what. No, that is not of you. Learn to sleep on a comfortable place. It might not be a 6 by 6 foot bed, but it's a bed where you can be comfortable and secure. So he said we start that one. And once they look at that bed nicely made, in the evening they will go and cover themselves there. In the morning they get up. and they feel relaxed. He say slowly they start to see that this is how valuable I am. And he said that we start building up from there to reinstate a sense of value into that person. And those people, they appreciate, they said, until you have slept rough in the street, you will never know how valuable you are the day you sleep on a bed. So it is something that is very, you know, um, need to be addressed in a detail, and small steps to start instilling value in someone. Mm.
You have a question. Can you read it? It's from Sunny.
Mm? Uh,
Many people say life is costly, but they respond to life by misusing it. It is the same thing when they say life is too short and I want to enjoy it. Why do you think? Why do you
um,
think that's that way?
I think first and foremost, sometimes people react that way because they haven't identified the value in themselves. When, if somebody just says, oh, life is too short, let me enjoy it, you will realize that probably that person, what they call enjoyment is drinking, partying, no care of, they don't think of the future, because you see, they have already concluded life is too short. But the sad thing is, they forget that even that which you call short, you don't know how long it will take. I have somebody who was advised, a very close person to me, and was advised, this job you're doing is really, really well. Why don't you invest like in a property, you acquire a piece of land and build a house for you and your children? That person said, life is too short. I've seen people building houses and they've never even lived in them. And what? And I think that was probably 1998. The person is still alive today. So when you are saying life is too short, proper regrets, because even that job which she was being told it was really good, she no longer has it. She doesn't have and at times you look at her and you just feel sorry. You don't know what else to do. She has already in her mind, she has already concluded, I am not of any value. No one cares for me. So the drinking habit has continued, and what. But it started with that statement, life is too short, let me enjoy it. So all the resources the person was earning directed to short-lived pleasure. Short-lived pleasure. You will drink in the evening, in the morning you are back sober with a hangover. You get money, the cycle continues. Why would you not invest that money? But it's because that person didn't see value in herself. She didn't see the potential of even adding value into her own life. So people at times, we know that, yeah, life is costly. And it's costly because, on the other hand, it can cost you a lifetime opportunity if you are not careful. So you have to look for it, you have to look at it in both angles. It's costly because somebody invests in people's life, but also it's costly because there are some opportunities, once they are gone, it is really, really hard to recover them. So live the moment. Somebody said, live as if you will live forever when you are relating with other people. But spiritually, prepare yourself as if today is the last day. So you need to balance, because even if you say life is short, do you know when you are going to depart from this world? Yeah? There are some people who are 90 years. They said that life is too short when they were 16. They still had 74 years to live, and they didn't make the most of that time when they were 16.
Yeah.
It costed their life, and now they're living in regret. So it starts by not seeing value in yourself, not seeing the potential in the inside of you. And that is why people just use that statement, life is too short, let me enjoy it, it's because they really don't know what they want to achieve with their lives. If
Yeah.
you know what you want to achieve with your life, you you will want even a day to have 25 hours because you want to make the most of it.
Yes. And when you look, come to think of it, when you look around us,
Mm.
everything speaks that life is costly.
Yeah.
Look at the traffic laws, the traffic lights,
Mm-hmm.
guide the traffic so that no one dies. The having the police and the army to protect people from wrongdoers. That shows that life is costly. Having hospitals, having
Mm.
lawyers and solicitors. Everything is speaking to us, but sometimes we are not listening,
Yeah.
you know. And then another point I wanted to bring out here. Let's digress now a bit. Let's
Mm.
leave the people alone. Let's look at all creation now.
Mm.
Life is costly. If we pollute the environment, with all this pollution and that, guess what? Climate change and all these things. When we cut trees,
Ah.
less oxygen, What other example can we use? When we misuse water, we pollute water, guess what? We'll become ill.
Yeah.
Even the food growing, So everything is speaking to us, but why isn't it that we are not listening?
Yeah,
Why?
what we say life is costly. So if we
Yeah,
want to live a good life, we have to pay the price. And that's where the aspect of caring for that life comes in. I
yeah,
believe that, when God created the entire creation, they say the ecosystem and what, everything has a purpose. Trees will, have got their own purpose. Flowers have got their own purpose. It's amazing that animals and insects understand that. They understand that. Look at how honey is made, the flowers, the pollens. Yeah, for us, we sneeze when, pollen hits us, but the bees are very happy because and then eventually we will go to the market, to the shop and buy honey. Animals, I look at how in my country, we have this Serengeti National Park. You will see how animals know that this is the time to migrate, because at this time it's dry and there is no grass, for the animals to feed on. So they all migrate to another place. When they migrate to that other place, they allow this other place which they've come from to rejuvenate, the vegetation to come back, and
right, yeah,
they will feed from the vegetation of this other side, you see. And then a time in the year it will come, they will move from that, they will go. I've seen a documentary on BBC which is talking about that. I've forgotten the name of that, but it shows how even animals who we think they don't understand, but naturally that is how it has made to be like that. So if animals can value the environment they're living in, they will not continue to stay where there is no grass and stay. They will dig up the soil, they will move to another place. By doing that, they are allowing the vegetation to grow, and then later they will come, the springs and waters will continue to run. And what? Human beings, we just want quick fix. We don't want to pay the price. Do you think those animals, they travel for one day? No, it takes long for them you will see them in lines, a long stretch. While they're traveling, the lions are also attacking them and what, but they are paying the price because it's inbuilt in the inside of them that as we go there, we'll find vegetation, and at the appointed time, I don't know how they know that now it's time to come back, this side has recovered. As
mm,
human beings, we don't think of that, and I think we are not willing to pay the price. You till a land, you till a land, you till it until the land loses its value. That's where this aspect of using fertilizers has come. But I read in the Bible, you know, the children of Israel were taught, you till on a land for 7 years, and then for 6 years, and then for the 7th year you lay that land fallow. You allow it to rejuvenate. But you see, because of scarcity of land, so somebody will just have one piece of land, and that is the one you use for the next 60, 70 years to cultivate. That land will lose its natural nutrients and what. That's where now we start using fertilizers, we start using pesticides, we start using all the artificial things. But you see, by not taking care of the natural system, it's costing us now. It's costing us by using artificial things. But you see now, it's costly in our health, you know, because now it's nearly each and everything we are eating now, it's artificially, it's artificially grown. Me, I used to grow in Tanzania. I never saw a mango which will be ripe in 6 months or in 1 year. You know, we used to have a mango tree out of our house. It was so big, and it was there for ages. I don't know how long it took that tree to grow up before it started yielding fruit. What are we seeing today? Genetically modified fruits and what? 6 months, you're starting to harvest, I don't know what. Something which was growing for 5 years, now you can have it in 2 years. So there is, you know, life is costly. So we want quick fix, but it's costing our health.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of, you know, natural kind of things which we, you know, we are ignoring, and it's now costing our lives. If we would care for the environment, you look at the global warming, the part of the frozen, you know, where it used to be ice, it's melting. What does that mean? The water tables in the sea is rising. What does that mean? Places are now starting to flood. The ozone layer has been destroyed because of all the emissions we are having. So now the sun hits direct to the living creatures on the earth. What does that mean? Our health are on, you know, on a scare, because now we have all different kind of diseases, because we did not care for the natural system, and now we are paying the price with our lives, with our health, and the entire environment is just in a chaotic something. So
Okay, and also, well done, well said. So, what happens then when we don't care for life? We want our viewers to really understand this. What happens?
you
You've
know,
said that.
when I was writing here, and I say, when the value of something is not appreciated, when you don't care for a life, the first thing that will be evident is that you are actually abusing it. It can be your own life, it can be the environment you are living at, it can be anything around you or you yourself. If you don't care for something, what it says, you are actually abusing it. And when you abuse something, it will not yield the results which were intended to be observed from that something. So if you are not going to care for your physical body, and you start using, you know, this, you know, substance and alcohol abuse to this body, you are actually now saying that the yielded results which were to be realized from you as an individual will not be realized, because when somebody is taking alcohol, excessive alcohol, becoming an alcoholic, and the drug abuse and what, when will you have the energy even to get up and go and be effective at work? If at all you still have the desire to go to work. By the time somebody reaches that point, nothing else matters. They will just get up, they don't want to do anything. All their mind is telling them is, where will I get the next top up into my body. That will make somebody very unfunctional, and therefore they don't care for that. They are abusing that. So and when life is not valued, it is not even easy for them to value themselves. So I'm looking it now at a perspective of other people not valuing other people. When you don't value your employee, when you don't value your children, when you don't value, if you're a teacher, you don't value those children in the class. If you are, I beg your pardon?
Or your spouse.
When you don't value your spouse, when you don't value your sibling, when you don't value your parents, I tell you, you are starting to put a notion in them that they don't matter. There are some people who have the courage and ability to rise above that, but not many have that. Once you disvalue, you remove value on something, you stop caring for something, then they take that, oh, so I am of no value. So the person, him or herself, will start looking at him or herself as a person who does not matter to anyone. So they now themselves will start inflicting abuse on themselves. They do not care. Oh, why didn't you go to school? He said, do you even care? You know you will hear some children, they will speak like that to their parents, and the parents will be wondering, what kind of why are you so disrespectful to me? But parents might have forgotten that they are not there for their children. The children don't have anyone to speak to. So children start seeing that even our parents don't care for me. So now today you're coming to ask me, why didn't I go to school? They will tell you, why do you even care today? The other time maybe I wanted to speak to you about this, you were not there. I continue to ask those little things. So they will start making up a conclusion in the inside of their heads, and that I don't value. An employee, they have worked and worked and worked. You don't want to pay their salary. You pay them today half, tomorrow, okay. They will reach a point, okay, I am not of any value. So they will take that notion and start spreading it to the other people who are around them. And you start to wonder, what is wrong with this one? But you see, when you don't value somebody, when you don't put the proper care into a life of somebody, you remove even from them the little sense of value they had for themselves. Majority of people fall into that category, and unfortunately, many of us, when we are, I was writing here, says many of us, when we try to solve the issues of our young people, we are trying to deal with the drug issue, gangster issue, but we forget to start by restoring the sense of value in them. So all these programs, community programs, marital counseling, we are doing, they are all good. But if all we are just addressing is the symptom which they brought, we are not addressing the value, the core issue, which is looking at that person as of a value, then all these other things will be temporary. So it makes, when we don't care, when we don't value people, we will come up with different interventions, which will be very, very costly, but they will not address the real issue. So you'll find ourselves going in circles, and we are not achieving much. So when we don't value, when we don't care those who are around us, when we, like husband and wife relationships, I have not been in there, but the little I have come across, in my workplace and, and people who are around me, sometimes you see somebody, you just think, how are they even living, together? If somebody can speak this of their spouse in front of other people, what are you trying to tell people? If you are going to start exposing the weaknesses of your spouse to other people, some of them who are not even married, what are you trying to tell people? What do you
Mm.
want those people to see your wife or your husband when they meet that person, knowing that you have already exposed that person? So you make it, it makes the life of that person to go down and down and down. Some people, that's how they reach a point, as we were saying earlier, commit suicide. No one
Mm.
cares. So when, it's a little thing. When we don't care, the lives of people, we don't know how far the damage goes and what
Mm.
can become, the consequences of that. So it is
Okay.
not just about that person and one aspect. It goes further, further, and it affects other people too. Mm.
Mm.
And
Wow.
another thing I would say, when we don't care for life, it is not a big deal for somebody to start war, for get into gangsters and do like in London. There is a big issue of knife crime. When
Yeah.
somebody, when a young person takes a knife and goes and stabs somebody, first and foremost, they don't value the life of that person they are going to take out. But do you know
Mm.
also, they don't even have value for their own life, because they know
Mm.
once you commit that crime, you will end up in jail. You might be there for a very, very long time. So it means even they themselves, they have removed value on their
Mm.
own lives. But you
Yeah.
see, maybe it started by also somebody not placing value on them. So it
Mm.
it, it damaged their own sense of value. And now
Yeah.
they are expressing it by attacking other people, by committing crimes. They don't care. In fact, some of them, they say, I don't care. In fact, jail might be the best place for me to be. Can you imagine somebody reaching to say such a statement? It's
Mm.
because somewhere, the value of that person was
Yeah.
was degraded. Mm,
Yeah. Mm.
mm,
So it made me realize that any society that understands that life is costly,
mm.
quite different.
Ah,
If you compare some societies in the developing world and some societies in the develop, you could see the difference. Who really knows the value of life?
mm,
You know, there are some societies whereby to find a hospital you have to travel for miles.
mm,
No, so that shows me value for life here. Do they understand that life is costly? You have an accident, there's no emergency. In fact, when they help you and the ambulance comes, they come 5 hours later.
ah,
And 5 hours, you could see. So there are so many things we take for granted,
mm,
you know. But as until you're exposed to a society that whereby there's so much risk to life that you understand the value of life.
mm,
So that came to my mind as well. And also, it made me understand how good governments can, if they understand that life is costly, they will govern the nation differently,
mm,
you know, by not maybe starting wars and, unnecessary wars and then sending people's children as they are in the army to just go and expose themselves unnecessarily.
mm.
No, of course, they join the army knowing that it's a risky job, but there are some battles that are not really meant to be fought.
Yeah.
So, so much as in this topic, there's so many aspects we can look at. But
Mm,
maybe what will help us now understand is that how can we care for life?
yeah.
Now,
Mm,
more than costly, how can we care for our own lives and those around us?
mm. Ah. When I was looking at it, and I was also asking myself, how can we really care for life? I think the first stage is to you as an individual, value yourself. Just see yourself as very, very important. And I tell sometimes the young people, see yourself very important to the extent that if you are not, if you don't exist, if you don't have a sound mind, if you're not healthy, something somewhere will go wrong. See that you carry a solution to something, to the extent that if your presence is not there, everyone will feel that something is really missing, not in a proud way, but knowing that you have a contribution to the environment you're living, whether it's in school, in family, in your neighborhood, in anywhere. Just have that sense of value about yourself.
Yes.
And then have value over those other all those other people around you. So if you think that you carry solution for a particular challenge and a particular issue in the society, to the extent that you are really needed, then place that same value to somebody else and see that they too are equally important, that they carry a particular solution to an issue which you don't have a solution for that, but they carry that one. Because once you have that, then you will start to treat that person with respect. You will know that they are really important for you. They are really important to you. You are important to them. You complement each other. So I was saying that look at those around you and value them as you do you yourself. Because when you value yourself, first and foremost, if you value yourself, you will look after this body very, very well. If you know that I carry a solution to this community, you will not want you will want to make the most of every second. That let me get let the good out of me come and make this place a better place, whether it is in a family, community, national, globally, global level. You will look after your body very, very, very well. You will know what to put in your mouth, as something that is healthy. You will be very careful that all the things that are not right, you will not take them. You will know when to rest. You will know when to relax. You will have a balanced life. And because you will do that, it's like you are creating an environment or in your own life for you to become effective on that which you believe is your purpose for you to accomplish. When you have that sense of value, when you value yourself, you will educate yourself. You will add knowledge. You will seek knowledge. There will be a lot of things. You will not just sit there idle. There will always be something that you desire to do to add value, so that that usefulness of you to those around you will come at an excellent way. So you might not necessarily have all the PhDs and the masters. We are not saying those are bad, but you will look for skills which are necessary to transform other people's lives, those who are around you. So if you value yourself, you will always seek to develop yourself. If you value yourself, you will always seek to protect yourself. It's winter, like in the UK now, it's winter. If you value yourself and you know that I have an assignment to accomplish, you will not jump out of your house and you are not well dressed, because you know when that cold hits you, you will sleep for the next 3 weeks. You don't want that. You will not, when it's snowing and it has become ice, you will not just drive carelessly, because you will know you might cause an accident. So those are the kind of things which I say, start by putting value on yourself and value those who also are around you. Make yourself you know, not in a proud way, but know yourself that I have a contribution to make in this world, as well as other people also have a contribution to make in this world. So that is what I was saying by when you value yourself. Those are the among the things that you do. You will look after your body, you look after your health, you will look after, after your skills, and you will add value to yourself. You will you will keep yourself looking good. You don't just look anyhow, you appear anywhere, anyhow. So there will be something that even when other people look at you, they will say, this person really loves him or herself,
Mm.
not just by the looks, which are also important. You don't just appear anywhere shabby looking. Keep yourself according to the means which you have. You're not saying that you go and steal and want to buy the designer. You can look
Mm.
good with the little which you have,
Yeah.
yourself
Mm.
like that. So that one is about, when you value yourself, care
Yeah.
for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
any addition from that for that?
Yeah, when you're talking about how we can care for ourselves, I remember the discussion we had about a tree.
Mm,
When if you want the tree to really remain green, to remain productive with fruits and all that, the main source of everything is actually the roots.
mm-hmm,
The roots, that's the source. So being connected to your roots, staying grounded, that is being connected to God, is part of knowing that your life is valuable, your life is costly. You did mention that our lives is the life of Jesus.
mm,
He created us. So being connected to God is part of it. And also, yeah, having that the source of your value system. How are you? For example, in a family, when there's no value system, no time for each other, no time for meetings to solve
mm,
problems, you know, no time for the children,
mm,
that alone sends a negative message, as you've already mentioned.
mm,
So putting system in place really will help, and that everyone who grows up under that roof knows that they are valuable.
mm.
Yeah. If the study of people in prison, all their story is the same. They
Yeah.
grew up in an environment whereby to them life was not costly. So
Mm,
that's why it was difficult for them to to take away another life or do anything.
mm.
So yeah, looking after other people is really key.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
so what else can we talk?
I wanted to add, how do we care for life? And we are talking about, valuing those who are around us. And
Okay.
one way of valuing those who are around us is actually desire them to see that they will live their full potential. Just as you desire to live your full potential, have that same desire for other people. And if you see that, you will use your gifts, you will use your talents, your abilities, your resources to pour yourself into them,
Yeah.
to make them also to become useful, to become the person they believe they are, like in terms of potential and abilities. And
Mm.
I give an example of Gemma, that book of Gemma. The people she was helping, they saw that she is of very, she's of value, and they helped her to bring the potential in the inside of her. And by the way, she's studying law now. Somebody who was a house help, she's now married with 2 children, studying law. Can you imagine?
Wow.
But it is because also those who were around her saw the potential in her, saw the value. So they use their resources, their abilities to help her also bring out that potential. So when you
Mm.
value other people, when you place value on them, you will want to see the best of them. You don't want them to continue to be your subordinates forever.
Mm.
So if
Mm.
you are an employer, learn to see that, yes, I am an employer, I'm a manager, I'm a director, these are my subordinates. Learn to help them to bring out the best, whether they will also become directors of other companies, because some people are always afraid to promote their subordinates, to bring them to their full potential, because they think, oh, now I will lose somebody who is working very good for me and what. I think that is very, very selfishness. That is very selfish. So see in them that yes, they can become, directors. They can own companies, and help them to bring out that potential, restore that sense of confidence and value in them. Because by doing so, I can assure you, while you are helping this one to become, to live their full potential in their career, they will also raise others behind them. So they will always, in you, it will always be a place where people pass to grow. And that is one thing I always say also. The day I will have my own company and organization, I think the first thing I will tell my colleagues is that, please know that this is not your permanent place. I want you to work and grow. But while you're doing that, raise somebody who will take your place as you go there, and teach the same value and principle to them, so that it is, you are here passing to add knowledge and skills. So that is just one example. See value and potential in others, and help them to, to bring. Yeah. So I think, start valuing yourself, value those around you, pour yourself to help those around you to become the best they can be. Because the greatest value you can place on yourself and on others is by serving each other to become, the best they can be. And then from there, that's where you will see, if you are a president or you are a leader in a community, you will not go for things like wars. You will do everything in your capacity to prevent such things from happening, even if it's going to cost your place. There's some presidents or rulers, they have stepped down, not because they really wanted, but for the advantage of a nation, so that war does not spill. I would rather step down, because they value the people they are leading, and they value themselves also. They don't want it to be recorded, it was in your time that this country went haywire. So it starts, by placing value on yourself and placing value on those around you.
Yeah. And as we are talking, I thought about each person. Many times when we look at a person, we stop at that physical person, because we don't see the lives attached to that destiny. We don't see the children who come out of that person. So it's like when you end a person, maybe for murderers, when they end one life, they think that's the only person they have ended. Actually, that life is attached to so many. I know so many lives attached to that person. So that is the value of life. That each life, it represents so many other lives.
Yes.
That understanding helps you value life. Understand that life is costly. When one person goes, just know that many people are missing out. As you mentioned, someone can be a solution to a problem. And when they are gone, the other people suffer. So that's a way of looking at it, that life is costly. Yeah, so I think we've exhausted all what we wanted to share, and it's our time to leave. So thank you, June. Do you have any last words you want to tell our viewers? Oh, sorry, let me read people who have come here. Hello, Shirley. Thanks for joining us. Hi, Teresa. How are you? Eddie, thanks for joining. Frederick, Asaf, Lydia, David, thank you all for joining us. I hope this discussion has been, beneficial and, informative. And please feel free to share on your timelines. And yeah, thank you. And that's it. So any last words, June, or action points?
Yeah. One thing which I would like to encourage us is that you will find value in yourself if you help other people to become the best they can be. And I tell you, that is the best way to care for yourself and also for others. When you do that to others, they will also learn the same principle. And I can only imagine what the world would be. So I would request us, find an area which you are able to transform somebody else's life for the better because
Yeah.
you care for them.
Wow. Thank you, June. Thank you so much. And thank you, viewers, for being with us. So we've come to the end of our broadcast, our discussion. We wish you a blessed weekend.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Bye.